look at what happened. Oh.
Move to spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready?
Move.
Up.
Move.
Go. Up. Hawkeye's here.
Hawkeye's here. Move it to the spare.
Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready.
We ready?
Shooter's down. Shooter's down.
Are we good?
Shooter's down.
Shooter's down. Are we good to move?
Shooter's down. We're good to move.
Clear.
We're
Let's
clear.
move.
We're clear.
Let's move.
We're clear.
Come on.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we got to move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay. Your shoe down. Get the shoe.
Watch out.
Wait.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious, as I sit in this chair now, of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
That workforce will be pivotal for the 2024 campaign season, which for the first time includes a former president who already has lifetime protection. Agents were there when Donald Trump was arraigned in New York.
We were able to work out the details ahead of time of how that particular day was going to go, but we will always ensure the safety of all of our protectees that we have.
The service has a zero-fail mission, a mission officers are training to uphold, pretending this field is the most famous address in America.
As always, this is Tim. This is Get Off My Lawn, the mad ramblings of a Gen Xer. That little montage we saw in the beginning was what happened this weekend, of course, with the attempted Trump assassination. I want to talk about, of course, the inevitable conspiracy theories that are going to come out from this. I want to talk about the failures of the Secret Service. I want to talk about DEI. I want to talk about old Kimberly, of course, who was at the very end of this, the head of the Secret Service, it was diversity, equity, and inclusion, that she wanted to have 30% of the agency become female, the Secret Service, that is. I want to talk about, is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? Is it a bad idea to put a number on gender and not put a number on the most qualified candidates? That's kind of the questions you need to ask. Now, Kimberly, everyone looks at Kimberly and goes, you know what? She's a massive failure. She just worked at Pepsi. Well, before 2022, when she was appointed by Biden to lead the Secret Service, yes, she was the senior director in global security at Pepsi, where she oversaw security protocols across the country and North America at all their facilities. And before joining Pepsi, she spent 27 years in the Secret Service, in a variety of positions, they're saying. She even served as on Biden's Secret Service detail when he was vice president. She's completely trusted, old Joe says. You watched what happened yesterday. I mean, and yesterday, a couple days ago now. You watched what happened. And I'm a Gen Xer. So I remember the Reagan shooting, the assassination attempt of Ronald Reagan. And you kind of see the difference in how the Secret Service went about their business. With Reagan, when those shots were fired, the assailant was taken down. We never say the names of the shooters because of the fact we never want to give them any credit or credence for anything. But at that point in time, you saw the shooter go down. He was surrounded, tackled, and manhandled by at least 11 guys. I mean, you saw Secret Service guys basically come out of the woodwork. It was like one of those movies where it's like where you see them jumping out of the windows. You don't know where the hell all these guys came from. At one point in time, you're looking at these guys with the Uzis all around the suspect. They had Reagan in that car and out within seconds. And now you go back and look at what happened yes, I keep wanting to say yesterday. Look what happened on Saturday. In some regards, it was an orchestrated mess. You had agents who weren't tall enough to get into the line of sight of the president, to get in front of him. Their job is to protect the president, or the ex-president, or president when you would call Trump. He's going to be president soon again. But their job is to protect him. Their job is to take the bullet. You have women that were a full head shorter than the person that they were protecting. That's an issue. You need to put yourself in harm's way to save the person. I got to move my microphone here because every time I'm seeing the camera shake. You're supposed to put yourselves in harm's ways to protect the person that you were there to protect. And they did not have the ability to do that. There's at one point in time in the beginning of the video, you can actually hear one of the female agents say, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" And then, of course, there is the video, which I also had played in front of Kimberly, where you literally watched the female Secret Service agent not be able to holster her weapon. Not once, but twice. These are basic things that you should be able to do in an instant. These are things that, if you've ever been to the shooting range, these are things that, if you've ever taken a course, a firearms course, these are things that they teach you. But she couldn't even holster her weapon. It was a little scary, and it was a little interesting to watch. And then you had the blonde who was a head shorter than Trump. At one point in time, as they were moving the president, she was trying to get his hat and glasses. You have an active shooter situation, and you are trying to then save the hat and the glasses of the former president, or your glasses, his hat. Fuck it. Leave it on the ground. You know what? Trump will buy you a new pair of glasses. Watching that little clip of Kimberly, the head of the Secret Service, and talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Again, we shouldn't be talking about that. We should discuss who are the best candidates for these jobs, because that's what the Secret Service is. You're in charge of protecting the most valuable political assets that we have. And if you can't do that, why are you even in the job? Oh, because you're a woman. No, it's like if I'm in a car accident, I'm rushed to the hospital, I have to be saved in the emergency room. I don't want the doctor who's there because of their race or gender or their gender fluidity. I want to be there for the person that graduated head of their class, not the person that got in because of the fact that they were a woman or a man or black or Asian or Hispanic or whatever. I want the most qualified person to work on me. And that's what you need in the Secret Service. Kimberly's got some questions to answer. And the fact that there wasn't a drone, and the fact that the Secret Service, they came out and said that they're relying more on local law enforcement to handle these things. You had a clear shot to the stage. Yes, it was outside the perimeter, but it was only 130 yards away on a rooftop. And you didn't have a person up there. When you went and did your prep work a couple of weeks before, you didn't say, okay, this is a sniper vantage point. You didn't do that? You didn't have drones up in the sky? And then, of course, the Trump campaign came out and said, a couple of people came and said that Trump and his team had requested additional security because of the size of these events, and Kimberly turned them down. But, of course, that's a lie. Kimberly says, no, we never turned down anyone. If anything, we gave them more Secret Service people. It's crazy. It was crazy to watch. And one of the things that was more concerning is, like I said, if you look at the map shows it's a clear vantage point. It's a clear field of fire. Right to the stage. 130 yards is nothing for an AR-style rifle. Nothing at all. And you left that vantage point open. And if you watch the video that we had earlier, the snipers, and I believe they said they were Secret Service, but they did say police on their vests. They at one point in time seemed for almost 7 minutes to be staring at that rooftop. And the question lends itself to, were they or did they have the green light to take out a target before that target engaged? What was the rules of engagement? Because you saw, it's funny. We were watching the event, my wife and I said, what's really weird? Because I was watching the guys up on the roof. I said, they're staring at something over there for a good 6-7 minutes. So what was the rule of engagement? And then it turns out, we now found out that a police officer actually went up to that roof and confronted the suspect before the shots were fired. And I'm also interested to find out, there was a succession of shots fired. Like, I think there were 7 in total. And then there was a long pause. And then you hear another bang. You saw it in the video. And then a woman screams. And I assume that is the sniper, Hawkeye, taking out the suspect. But there was a very long pause. There was a good 10-second pause between the last shot fired when Trump went down from the sniper, or I should say the attempted assassin, and the sniper. It seemed like a good 7 to 8 seconds there before he took him out. Because like I said, you heard the pop, 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 pop. You saw Trump go down. You wait a good 2-3 seconds, and then you hear a shot and then a woman scream. There was a good 7-8 seconds in there. So I'm curious to see what the rule of engagement was for the snipers. And why did the police officer who went up in the roof and actually confronted the sniper before this go back down the ladder? Your job, this of course is being reported by the AP, so we don't have all confirmation about this, but it's curious to see what happened there. Your job at that point in time as a police officer, if you see someone with a rifle and they're pointing it at you, you have the right to use deadly force. So what happened there as well? I'm kind of confused on that scenario as well. And this kind of all leads into the conspiracy theories. There's a photo circulating of the deceased sniper, attempted assassin, after he was shot. And we have the photo here. Of course, you can see the photo. And now people are saying, well, that doesn't look like him. It looks like this gentleman that's from Antifa, who's very big in Antifa. And you can see that we have both photos alongside the gentleman from Antifa and the attempted assassin. And you can see their jawline and their facial expressions. Faces are very similar. But also, if you bring up the picture of the shooter, he also looks very similar to that person as well that's in this photo. Anytime you have an event like this, you go back to Kennedy with the grassy knoll. There's always going to be conspiracy theories. There has been conspiracy theories that Kennedy was taken out by the CIA. He was taken out by the Russians. He was taken out by the Cubans. He was taken out by a joint effort by the Russians, the Cuban, and then the CIA. And I also think he might have been taken out by the local Texas Bowling League. Sorry, that was a bad joke. Sorry. Oh, look at the camera's moving. I gotta fix it. I gotta fixate. I have to use some technical terms. I have to glue the camera down. But there's always going to have these conspiracy theories. This looks, the picture looks like the kid. It does. It looks like the 20-year-old moron who got shot. And rightfully so. But these things are always going to come out. There's also the conspiracy theory itself that this was a Hollywood stunt. This was actually, there's another conspiracy theory that I saw that Trump orchestrated this so he can gather sympathy, so he can jump up even higher in the polls. Listen, I love a good conspiracy theory. I love stories of Bigfoots. I love stories of aliens. I love stories of Loch Ness Monster. I love listening to things about, like I said, Kennedy and the grassy knoll and everything else. I love it just as much as everyone else. But sometimes something is just what it is. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it's a catastrophic failure, catastrophic breakdown in reference to what local law, and I'm not even blaming more local law enforcement, because inside that perimeter, it's controlled by the CIA. It's controlled by the Secret Service. The Secret Service controls everything inside and outside that perimeter. They are supposed to be using local law enforcement as backup. Secret Service itself is supposed to handle everything. And then but now we find out that they're relying more, Secret Service that is, on local law enforcement to help secure these areas. That's the biggest conspiracy. Why? Why all of a sudden is this agency, which after the Reagan attack was put on such, high notice in reference to having you need to have a zero tolerance, or, you have to have, the ability not to have your president killed or assassinated. That's your only job. That is your one job outside of protecting, of course, other leaders. But your one job is you have to have a zero failure rate. So the biggest question is not to me if there was a conspiracy. The biggest question is at this point in time, was this a catastrophic failure within the Secret Service? And I have to say yes. If you literally, and some of these stories that are being told by the BBC with certain people, that certain people went to the Secret Service and said, hey, listen, we just watched this guy crawl up the wall, with a rifle, and the Secret Service did nothing. I don't know. This agency has gone downhill. And I know I think it was about 9 years ago, they did an entire report on changes that needed to be made in the Secret Service. And I remember at one point in that report was that agents only received like 30 minutes of training a year after they became a Secret Service agent. And this was in the congressional report. So I'm not seeing that there was a conspiracy in reference to who the shooter was or whom the shooter was, if there was more shooters, if it was someone from Russia, if it was an illegal immigrant, if it was the biggest issue should be the internal failure of the organization that has been created to protect the president. That is the biggest failure we need to look at. That's why they're going to have some congressional hearings in about a week after the Republican convention. But we have to look deeper into that, not deeper into these stories that doesn't really look like him, the shooter. No, we have to get involved more with what happened that day in reference to his protection detail. My question was still, I know local police departments use drones. My brother-in-law is a police officer. He's a drone pilot. And you don't have these guys with the drones out? You didn't secure a perimeter of a building that was 130 yards away with a direct line of sight and field of fire of the stage? You didn't have a man on that roof? You didn't even post a police officer on that roof or every single roof around that, around that field, around that farm? You didn't do that. That thought didn't cross your mind? And then you have Secret Service agents who are more worried about a hat and sunglasses and they aren't even tall enough to protect the president, that literally a couple of the gentlemen over there had to use their hands to put it in front of the president's face, and it took you forever to get him in the car and to get him out. I know Trump was being Trump, but you got to move. You are in charge of his. What if there was an additional attacker? What if there was an additional assassin? What then? You were going to allow your target to get hit twice, and it took you forever to get him in the vehicle and get the vehicle out? And then you have Secret Service agents who can't even holster their weapons. But don't worry, we have diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's been a long weekend, guys. It is Monday, but it's been a long weekend. We're gonna do a little bit better deep dive into this in the upcoming weeks, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We're also gonna do some coverage of the Republican convention. And Trump's big speech when he makes its triumphant return. You gotta love Donald Trump, though. You really gotta love him, man. He gets shot in the ear. Literally, he was a quarter of an inch away from being murdered, assassinated, and he's basically like, "Here, hold my beer. I gotta grab my shoes." And as always, hit all that like button, hit the whatever button hit the like button, hit the notification bell, help the channel out, let us grow. We do great on the podcast, but we don't do great on YouTube and Rumble yet, so we're working on that. So make sure you hit all those things, get the notifications, put out the word of the channel, because you know what? We've said it once, we've said it a million times before. The truth shall always set you free. This is Tim. Let's get off my lawn. The mad ramblings of a Gen Xer, and I'm out of here.